This is just another quick sort of video note to accompany the new pack that I've sent through. So let's just take it back down to structure there. When you guys arrive on site, you'll arrive to this sort of situation. So the obviously there'll be a ground plane as well, but you've got your blockwork perimeter will be there. The slab will be poured. The columns will be ready to receive the glulam's, and the existing structure is there, and all the plumbing etc. is in place. So glulam's, obviously they'll be going in floor by floor, I understand that, but just in terms of the tags, that's them in one. So there's two sit on the existing wall on pad stones. These are sat on pad stones there, and then they load down to the two new foundations that have been created there. So the SIPs broken down into the individual SIP panels as requested around there. They obviously sit within the rafters and the CLT deck. So the CLT deck we're able to come through to the front of the SIP panel on the second floor, but it didn't make sense to do that on the first floor plane because of the working our way around the existing building, and also sort of just requiring tolerance at the front and the what was best use of the SIP panels going along. It made more sense for them not to be a straight line because of the various levels of windows and lintels etc. required. The most efficient use of SIPs was like that. As you pan around, it's a little bit different. I haven't got the outer layer of the SIP on there, but with the outer layer of the SIP, it's obviously they are then the contained panels, but with that you don't see the the build up within each one and how they're fixed. I need to still send you the fixing details for the panels themselves. So that is the raw structure, the principal structure there. With these roof cassettes going on, etc. They may go on as whole things, but it's just important to note that where the Veluxes are and the dormer construction, I've put a specific AXO in the drawing pack for those, but essentially because of the way that we want the plasterboard in and coming up at an angle towards the window there, the width required for the roof light is wider than the roof light themselves, and that just cuts through the deeper layer of rock wool insulation up to the Styco level of insulation. So as if they are bigger roof lights essentially. That's the same for the rear ones as well, up at the back there, and how that's constructed. But you can sort of see how the cheeks etc. Come together at that point. So on top of that, obviously a warm deck goes on there. That will hold the rock wool insulation, which sits on top there, and then also equally at the same time as that, the insulation goes around the perimeter at the bottom, which also needs to be a PIR insulation down there. There's a small bit there, and between the studs on that remaining wall there as well. And then the secondary insulation is the Styco, which is 100mm Styco for the ground and the first floors, and then it sort of drops down to a 50mm Styco for the roof to allow us to have a 50mm return there, which is what the gutter and the sort of zinc work sits on. So that is the principal construction of all of that, but in addition to that, so when the membrane goes on, that goes on there like that. Battens, 50mm battens for the zinc fairings at the front that are steeper. There may need to be some timber between those fairings on the GLP for the GLP roof gutter down the centre there. The upstands are all quite straightforward. There's no insulation in them, they just sit directly off of the roof deck. There is an insulated upstand required for this roof light, which is roof light 2, I believe. And yeah, okay, that's the detail. So important to note that the zinc detail is the airflow needs to go from top to bottom, and these gutters, which are need to be created as part of this phase, the air travels up, underneath, up, and then it exits here. So it enters or exits here and enters and exits there. This part here is completely sealed from top to for around the gutter area. So if we put in the zinc and the drainage, you can see how that looks there. Now it doesn't actually show the detail, but there would be another piece of zinc that goes around here like that as well, that clip those two bits together. Hence the airflow needs to circulate around. Now you've got 3 hidden gutters like that. There's one on each side of the rear dormer area, and there's one on the front elevation dormer at the front of the dormer there. Here, the zinc will just bend round. There is no gutter or anything, so that the air comes up and exits here as well in the same way. Now, you might have noticed the battens coming through the Styco there. They need to carry on through from the SIP. Obviously, the SIP doing the supporting of these battens coming through here, and then that is what the battens for over the membrane. So the membrane goes on, and then that. In addition to the battens at the front, the only place that really requires a membrane is at the front, because actually the other 3 facades are rendered, and the render is applied directly to the Styco. The only exception is this brickwork at the back, where studs will come through the Styco again. There are battens on the top, and then there are these brick wall ties there, so that the 2 masonry piers can be constructed after this phase of works up at the back there. The render will carry on through the back of where the bricks are, and the bricks are just purely sort of decorative or part of the planning condition that we have to retain or recreate those bricks at the back. So yeah, membrane down the front, battens, counter battens that are horizontal, need to have an angle on them, 500s up, 500 mils across, and that's the way that looks. And then that's going to see how 2 floors in, and then finally it's just the internal battens for the service cavity. So again, 50 by 50 mils. So you've got this air tightness layer that carries on through, and it'll have to, as you noted, wrap around the CLT at this level. So on the roof, they just need to be 25 mil. On all of the walls, they are 50 mil, apart from where we've left them blank, which is denoted in the drawings as well. In this instance, they can be just 10 mil, just something to hold the membrane in place. Because at this point we don't require any services, and it means that we can have a sort of a difference in levels of wall, which would be good. So, and that's here along the bottom. So specifically, they go up to a certain level, up to the bottom of this window here, and the wall is able to taper in a couple of times there. So, actually, we look at the finished building here, it gives you a sort of idea of why we're doing those things. So here, for example, which is a front office but can accommodate a bed, that's where it goes up, and then the cluster ball goes directly against the wall, and this carries on through to the front office room there, and then it just creates a bench and an area for the plug sockets to go, so it's sort of a working zone. And what else is useful for you to see? So yeah, you can see how the brick it goes in there, and it's sort of held in by that. The zinc details, the zinc caps, the GRP roof that should be white, the Linic glass, how that's going to work with the windows behind it. The services required on the roof, so there's an air source heat pump, which will require something like, I don't know, maybe a soil pipe or something similar as an access onto the roof there, and then a soil stack for venting the soil there. So there'll be 2 accesses through there that will need to be accommodated. And let's go into the bedroom, so I can show you how these roof lights are going to sort of work on the interior. So this is the effect that we're trying to achieve, and hence why we've got the wider area given over to through the joist for the roof lights, so that they can taper off up to the ceiling, and it's the same on the rear ones as well. So if if I spin that round and go around back to the back again, through there, if you go into a sort of a standard bathroom, and it's the same on both sides, you can see how they taper up in that instance up there like that, and on the back too. Okay, so I think that just helps give a bit of an overview, but if there's any specific elements that you want to talk through, or you need to talk about, then let me know. So the other thing is just to know that the CLT it has different level platforms through the hall entrance area. So yeah, this might be an interesting area just to have a look at. So this is the hall and how these timbers work. So there are some instances where you can see above and below them, and as you come in, it will look like. So let's just give a wider field of view here, and that's the reason why they're. So the reflected ceiling plan should help with that sort of thing. As you come in and come around, it looks like that. It should help. Yeah, and there are areas where the soffits are exposed and areas where they aren't. But on the majority of the second floor, it's all exposed along there. Okay, right, I hope that helps. Look forward to chatting later in the week about everything. Thanks.